And everyone, welcome back to the LPL. After Game 1, Victory 5 were able to take down LGD in 25.5 minutes. They've got 3 LDL players, Clement. What happened?
That was such an insane game, and I think there's just, you know, when we're talking about these teams that we don't have any past record on, you think that this team was 15th place in the LDL. I don't really think I have that many expectations, but in the LPL, when new players come up, there's always that hope that they're actually diamonds in the rough, and maybe this chemistry is going to rise B5 stocks. They were the 13th place team in the LPL last time around. Did not take a match from a single playoff team, but they're still looking very strong coming into this split.
I think one of the big things about that last game was how Victory 5 were able to counter the macro decisions of LGD, because we were praising them very early on about how they were taking the proper rotations. They rotated their bot lane up to the top lane. But as you mentioned, V5 were just there first. How does that happen?
Yeah, that's just, I don't really know how that happened. I think they probably discerned something from the way that the waves were pushing, and it's a very frequent play that once you take the Drake, then you go towards the top side, and maybe they didn't see their top bot lane there. That's how they gave the signal away. But I think the main point throughout all of that is still how well they actually handled the Drake fights. I felt like LGD were in position to take those. They had the right idea where they need to be grouped up rather than coming in from the flanks. There was a Sivir and a Nautilus on the other side, so their only chance of winning was being grouped up together. But both times LGD were able to counter so well. And just look at this play from Aliez. He goes in and gets the double root down onto their targets, and Y4 escapes on the other end. He also steals the Infernal Drake with the Boomerang as well. And this play from Mole was just pure genius. He gets the Proto Belt, knows the plays that he can make, and instantly takes away the Cosmic Radiance from LGD. Without that damage denial, LGD just crumble. They need more time on this comp.
I think LGD at this point just feel maybe they might be a little bit more scared of the Dragons after this one. I'm not saying they should ban Aurelion Sol, but, you know, at that point when Dragons are causing you that much trouble, sometimes you got to go with the superstition in the pick ban. But really for LGD, the problem was that they couldn't get Yuuki going. You know, he needs to be their franchise player, and he played the very early stages of the game incredibly well, 20 CS lead, but he ended the game 0-3-0.
I felt like his Azir was fine, and this is more about the grand picture of the meta right now. If you think about MSI, the average game time was 30 minutes. And they were picking a team composition that excelled at 35. So they were basically going against the grain in the meta. And what I expect them to show this draft phase is put Yuuki on something that does stuff early. In the last draft, we saw all the potential flex picks being taken away. The Silas, the Aatrox, the Aurelia, the Akali, all of that gone from the ban phase. This time around, I think it's actually quite wise for them to open up some of these flex picks and let sides share them. If you're talking about pure mechanics, I still have a lot of faith in Yuuki to outduel Mole.
Well, Mole did end up getting the MVP for the last match, so deservedly so as well, because that play on the Zoe was actually fantastic from him. A beautiful first showing. And I agree with you. I think that if Yuuki can get the pick he needs, get the priority he needs, he can have an amazing showing here. You know, there's a reason they have faith in him enough to be able to release Ian. He played incredibly well last split. A lot of his stats were very superior to Ian. The one problem he had was the KDA. The man just dies too much, Clement.
That definitely is true, and I think a lot of it was at the start of the split. They actually didn't have a lot of good synergy with Condi. Wasn't able to cover him when it was absolutely necessary. But if you look at his damage output, 28.8%, that's the second highest out of any mid laner. So he's been doing a lot of work in that department. I think he should go for something like the Aurelia, like the Lissandra, or the Zoe that can give him a fair fighting chance.
Just give him something, just give him the freedom to roam, give him the freedom to participate in the game, because that's something that he has excelled at too as well compared to Ian. You know, number 3 kill participation in the mid lane, 71.7%. Ian was only at 58%. That's number 20. So you have to play to Yuuki's strengths. You decided he was a strong enough mid laner to be worth keeping as this solo starter. I agree with that decision, but I want to see LGD play around the decision they made.
Yep, definitely is the case for them. You can see the entire team was kind of shell-shocked. This is happening in Hangzhou, LGD's home arena, which also the playoffs was played as well. And these fans have been waiting for a long time to actually watch their hometown heroes try to strike out and get a win. But, you know, you don't want to disappoint. There's been this curse in the LPL. Whoever starts in their home arena usually don't do very well in the first game.
Well, they still have a chance, you know, Victory 5. Their players are looking a little bit less glum. The faces on LGD, I feel so sorry for them, but they still gotta bring it back. You know, they gotta reset mentally because this game too, it's a brand new game. Get Yuuki going, let Kramer go. You don't have to get a scaling top laner. If you have those two carries, I have faith in them. Those two have carried so many games for the squad, especially in their last 5 series. As we mentioned, it was off the backs of the two of them that a lot of those victories came. So just rely on them. You don't need to give Lies this hyper-scaling top laner. You have so much freedom.
And I just think that this was a case of LGD trying to test the waters, trying to see how much metal V5 was actually going to bring into the table. They went for something that, you know, could make a lot of mistakes, and as long as the enemy didn't press you hard enough, you would come out with the win automatically post maybe around 35 minutes. But now they know. Now they know V5, you can't draft this way against them. It's against the meta, and I think they're going to switch to something a little bit more aggressive. For V5 on their end, I'm actually quite impressed by Aliez. I feel like Aliez played the, he was behind in lane, true, but his teleports were on point. He did what he needed to in those fights so far. And Mole, we already knew what he was capable of. That was within our expectation. He is that early game type of jungler to pull that, type of mid laner to pull those plays off.
I mean, looking at the other side though, for LGD, I felt like Condi's performance in the early game, I want to see more of that. Yeah, he ended up falling behind significantly, but he was tracking Ben 4 so magnificently throughout most of that game. And LGD, they were not happy with Mole that game. That's the Zoe ban.
Yeah, I like this response from V5. You let one of those flex picks open, pretty much the only one left. I'm just going to lock it in. I'm not going to let that go. You have to posture correctly when you're playing against these teams. You don't want future teams playing against you to know that, hey, they don't play Jayce or something. So I like this move. V5 not shying away from the opportunity to pick probably the most dominant early lane champion ever.
Now they're going to get the Elise as well, the early game jungler. They're going all in on the early game again, it seems like, Clement.
This is just so much dive potential from V5. Jayce plus Elise means a dead top laner, whoever you're fighting against. So I'm very curious if LGD are going to stick to this Neeko pick and place her into the top side. I think it's super dangerous at this point. Jayce is going to have control of the minion wave. She's going to be able to push in, and you're going to have to match that level 3 tower dive incoming from the Elise.
Luckily, however, Neeko is a flex pick, so we may be able to see a solo lane pick come out as well into that top lane as a replacement. But if that's being the case, what do you want to see that has enough safety against the dive potential of the Elise and the Jayce?
I would just prefer something that has wave clear potential and has hard crowd control potential on the whim. So I think like something like a Renekton would actually work quite well against this type of a combination. He has the Q where you can push the wave out. And Renekton was recently buffed. His AD and his starting HP gave him a good boost in the early game. Now for V5's part, we've already seen a lot of compositions coming out with the Cannonball. So the Kai'Sa fits very well with the amount of crowd control in this composition. They have to take it away. It is Kramer's bread and butter pick.
A lot of focus down here onto the bottom side. Y4 losing his Xayah once again. The Rise, the other flex pick left remaining, taken away from Victory 5, so it's a little bit more freedom in the draft, a little bit more obviation as to who's going where, hopefully, with the picks that V5 is left with. But they have one more ban remaining. I want to see where they want to focus because they don't know for sure where the Neeko is going. They suspect not top lane. But what else are they going to ban? It looks like
they
do think it's AD carry.
They do take away the Renekton as well. I think Renekton's probably the best pick in this situation where you're facing the Jayce and Elise, so they don't want LGD to have that. LGD are going to have to put the Neeko into the top lane or maybe the mid lane. They still have a choice to decide. But Lucian is an interesting pick coming out from Kramer. I don't think it's one that he actually likes playing that much. With a pick like Lucian, you are forced to play the early game quite well. he doesn't really have a late game to speak of. So this is LGD changing tones, and they're saying, you know what, we picked a triple scaling composition last time around. This time we're going to give Kramer a chance to go in early, and V5 has actually selected the Sivir. Ooh, now Sivir actually does very poorly against the Lucian, so I'm surprised to see that pick. It's more about the composition and the chance for priority, I guess, rather than the straight-up kill potential. Now, I will say that Nautilus does have a good matchup against Galio, so maybe that's what they're banking on to negate the deficit in the AD carry position. But still, that's quite dicey. Kramer's a great marksman. And then we're going to see the Taliyah being selected as well. Very high win rate in Challenger right now. I think she can be flexed into the jungle position as well. We saw Xiaohu picking up last split. And just great roam potential. Great roam potential.
Yeah, we've seen quite a bit of it, and that means that top lane is so dangerous for Renekton. You could have the Taliyah coming up, you could have the Elise coming up, the Jayce dives onto you. Where the hell do you go?
Let's make a bet. I think Lines is gonna die at least twice in the laning phase. At the very least twice.
I'll take that.
I'll
take that action.
So
it's.
I thought you were going to have a different opinion. But
Look.
Twice is enough. Twice is a lot.
I think, look, it's either going to be a low number or absolutely ridiculous. Because once you start falling behind on the Neeko, what do? Because you have the Jayce who snowballs so well with items. Once you fall behind as that Neeko, it's literally just all on the early laning phase, I feel like. Because once you fall behind, you're done.
This is going to be an AP Neeko. I'm not even going to be surprised if she goes for some of the wave clear potential on the Q, I believe. You can tell I'm not the greatest of Neeko players, but... And for the rest of the map, this is a composition, however. You finally see Yuuki on that LeBlanc against the Taliyah. That's a great combination. As long as you don't distort back onto the tectonic shove, you have a great laning phase against someone like the Taliyah, who doesn't have the greatest mobility, is not going to be able to dodge away from your distorts.
And it feels like that LeBlanc laning phase is going to be so important, especially now that you have that vulnerable Neeko in the top lane. If you can get the LeBlanc roaming first, or at least enough pressure that the Taliyah can't roam, suddenly you free up a little bit of pressure from Lies. Maybe he won't die, 4 or 5 times. You could keep it down to the 2, Clement.
Yeah, the key thing here is a lot is riding on Yuuki's shoulders. He's supposed to keep that Elise in check, make sure that they're not constantly diving Neeko, like you said right here. But I have faith in Yuuki. He's a great assassin player.
All right, it's all going to be on Yuuki in game number 2 of LGD versus Victory 5. Can Victory 5 take it home for the 2-0 to start off their split, or LGD going to bite back?
Very interesting level 1 strategy. I don't think I've ever seen a team do this. So they've warded up their bottom side and then headed up towards the top together. And they're spending actually a lot of time here.
Maybe they're expecting someone to try and vertical jungle and they want to catch them on it?
Does seem like the case. They're expecting a very unusual, multi-man evade from V5. You don't send all 5 people to the top side of the map unless you think that there's some cheese coming in, but nothing happening right now, and I have to say that I feel like V5 does get a little bit of advantage over here because they do put more wards into LGD's jungle.
Yep. No cheese coming out just yet. It's a lactose intolerant level 1 so far, but Yuuki going to take a little bit of poke there from Mole with this Taliyah matchup now. I'm hoping we can see some action coming out from Yuuki this game. Last game we didn't see a whole lot. It was just a bunch of farming and then LGD losing. So we're going to see a little bit of action more, I think, but Condi,
this is very cheeky. We rarely see this, but I think this is Condi reacting to the potential of a level 1, of an early level dive. So they're thinking that we need to be the ones to strike first in this top lane.
There he is. Aliez going to get dove on EQ, flag and drag. First blood goes over to Condi. Now the red buff going to be taken down by Ben4, none the wiser. And Condi walks away from this happy.
I have to say, Condi really is so smart with the plays he's been doing so far. He's been reading what the potential threats are and reacting to them so well. I just want to see if V5 can potentially get something back on the other side of the map, but unfortunately the Lucian and the Galio bot lane does have enough push to gain priority, and nothing much that Ben4 can do here.
Good rotation from RD. I like LGD's early game once again here. It seems like they've been able to keep their head, keep their wits about them, because early game macro, like you said, not only did they have the shove, but RD, if you saw, immediately walked up towards that blue buff, make sure no funny business was coming in. But now Ben4 is looking for an answer here in the bottom lane.
And they do have a lot of crowd control. There are no cleanses in this bot lane so far. A lot of times we do see that if you're playing up against an Elise and a Nautilus, it does force the AD carry to at least bring a cleanse. Kramer is playing on the rather dangerous end of it.
Just the heal. We've seen this problem with him before. Last time I remember against JDG, he was against the Vayne, got condemned into the wall, and lost a fight just because he didn't have that cleanse. Hopefully this time, it's not going to be quite as bad. But Condi getting spotted out in the blue buff. This game, it looks like Ben4 is going to be the one doing the tracking.
And you can see the effects of the scuttle being moved past that 2-minute mark. If the scuttle was still there, then Condi could have had an extra camp, but now he's down 1 level, and there's a gank coming in. Yuuki does need to flash.
Down the distortion, so he can't go for it, but Yuuki's going to be safe for now, has to burn the flash, and Ben4 is going to be looking for the scuttle crab. It's going to be both of them taken by him this game. So he's going to have a lot of map presence.
Does look like what's going to happen in the top lane is still going to happen. Very good use of that level advantage coming in from Ben4. He is able to track away the jungle.
Now looking at the top lane, Aliez, even in CS at this point, not having a lot of trouble there. He's got the double Dorans at this point, got a lot of mana sustain, a lot of health on his back. In the bottom lane, we see pretty much even. So not a whole lot of pressure coming out from Kramer and RD. As a matter of fact, we had some concerns about that, but it looks like Y4 and Max are doing a pretty good job so far.
I think the key move here is the gank into the mid lane. Once LGD can find a gank onto Mole, then they open up the jungle towards invade. They should bring it to the top side. They can prevent the top side dives from incoming. So I think that's going to be the most crucial point on the map. Can Condi actually find this successful gank into the mid lane?
He's looking for it. Not been spotted just yet, but it looks like he's just going to back instead, trying to dissuade any ganks from the Elise. But Ben4 just came back from a back, which means he will have faster movement onto the map, but I think he might just be farming with it at this point.
I really like this move from Mole. He actually spots out the Jarvan backing and then is able to walk even more forward, make sure that he still has the freeze right here. So he's playing relatively safe. The laning situation has been controlled by Mole, and I really like it. It's very intricate moves right there, but what he did was he saw Jarvan going back, he backed out a little, made sure that the back was complete, and then he walked forward to make sure he still had the freeze there. And very smart move right there, is able to control that wave. And Yuuki moving into this lane right now, he's coming in quite blind. He doesn't have any vision in the top side and doesn't need to overextend himself.
At this point, Clement, none of the lanes are exactly going as aggressively as we thought here for LGD. One of the criticisms we had of Kramer during the spring split was that his early laning isn't all that great, but Yuuki getting a good trade in the mid lane, so maybe I'll take it back for Yuuki, but Kramer still has not been putting out the pressure on the Lucian we'd expect, and this has been a problem for him all of last split.
That's the part of the trade I was talking about in this matchup. The only way you can really lose as a LeBlanc is if you distort back too early. Held on to that, stayed there, made sure he got the electrocute proc, used the corrupting potions as well to get maximum damage, and just don't jump back when you don't need to.
Now, going to be the first back here for Mole. He may be able to pick up an item or two for himself, has the Darksteel and corrupting potion already, and he's going to get started working on a few items, just able to get a few components so far. He's sick of the poke, he's sick of the damage coming in from Yuuki, wants to stop the all-in potential, so he'll pick up a little bit of magic resist.
Now this wave is also very crucial because you have both mid laners coming in at level 6. Now, what I expect out of Ben4 is he really wants to free up this mid lane. He's going to have great potential for kills in the bottom side. There's tons of crowd control right here. If you throw a Taliyah in here, RD is going to die. So I do want to see Ben4 try to free up Taliyah before they make this play. But he's just fishing for it. LGD, don't push too far forward.
But instead, Ben4 going to turn onto this dragon. You've got Elise. She's incredibly good at taking these early objectives by herself. And Mole hard shoving the wave, giving a little bit more freedom for that. So this should be the first dragon going over to Victory 5. But Clement, it's just a Cloud Drake.
Yep, the Cloud Drake is okay, but I think what's important is the difference in rune choice between Taliyah and LeBlanc here. You do see the biscuits on the LeBlanc and the minion dematerializer on the Taliyah. So she has a lot of room to roam here. You see LGD's bot lane are actually getting very anxious. They want to go out and meet the wave, but at the same time, they know there's a 4-man stack in the river. They think better of it and hide in the brush for now.
We've actually seen a lot of biscuits taken this game. We see it on 4 members, 2 on each team. So a lot of emphasis on the sustain here for both teams here in the early game. But this bottom lane from LGD, we have not seen a lot of pressure come out of it. And at what point do we say, okay, this Lucian has been kind of a failure for LGD. It didn't get the lead we wanted them to have.
Well, I think the difference only starts showing at about 3 items. First 2 items, Lucian is still a great pick. So they still have a lot of time before it's, you know, quote-unquote a failure. I still think you can give him a little bit more leeway in terms of that department. And LGD, you know, top lane Neeko and AP Neeko is still going to be more useful than the Jayce later on in the game. So even though LGD don't have their mid laner going, which is, I think, the only thing that's not right with this composition that they have, the rest of it has been quite good.
Oh, here comes the engage down to the bottom side. Max taking a lot of damage, but the depth charge going to trade some back onto Kramer. They will make it out and disengage with the use of the ultimate from Y4. So Condi still looking for it. He will catch the ward, but I don't know if it's going to dissuade Y4 at all.
This is a smart move by Condi, even though it's a 2v1. Max is basically 1 rotation burst, and a great timing window right here. I think Condi just has so much more experience than Ben4 at this point. It was a very obvious blue hand up on the top side for V5. Instantly follow up hard trade and follow up with the jungle follow-up gank into the bot side. You know there's no one there to contest that, so they get a lot out of that. Turret plating, I believe, taken. No. Still close.
Not quite yet, Clement.
But a good move nonetheless. And they force out all the ultimates.
Mo looking for a good Weaver's Wall into the top lane. Not going to find it yet, but something that I just noticed. Condi didn't opt for the Conquerors this time. He instead went for the Electrocute. Is that just to match the damage of the Elise at this point?
Well, I think if you look at all the lanes, they're all low mobility lanes. I think what Condi is thinking is, I should get the Execute and just try to get the most out of my ganks as possible. And in terms of fighting Elise, it's actually quite difficult for Jarvan. If you want to EQ in, unless you're doing it from Fog of War, she can always just repel. It's almost impossible to actually get that down.
Oh, but the Cocoon going to land onto RD. There he goes, has to flash away. Ignite burned as well. Auto won't be enough. The heal from Kramer. Culling going to come out now. Is this fight going to keep going? Ben4 with a great Cocoon to stop Condi from the engage. It doesn't look like anyone wants to keep this fight going just yet, but this Rift Herald, hot contention as Yuuki comes up from the mid lane.
Yep, it's a 4v3 for LGD, but you have to think about Mole. He's already had that Weaver's Wall and the lane priority there, so LGD not wanting to push things too far. This is the chain.
Chain not going to land just yet. Yuuki won't get a whole lot of damage down. He has used the Ignite, however. Now the Rift Herald going to be started up by Victory 5, and oh no, Clement. It's starting to happen again.
It does seem like it. LG, the first ones to swap with their bot lane priority. They actually made the correct play the first time around, but losing all that HP on the Galio means they can't really fight this. Now, LGD is a team that really likes Herald. They actually had the highest Herald secure rate in the LPL at 63%. But unfortunately, that play is not going to work out. V5 did their homework. They had great warding, and RD just stepped too far forward.
Already mispositioning, almost lost them. The Herald, in fact, it did. So now, with the Herald on Ben4, he has a few options. Mid lane has 1 turret plating taken. The bottom lane, Aliez is doing his best to take that one down. 2 turret platings down there. Top lane tower untouched. But it looks like mid lane is where he wants to go with it.
No, it really is happening again. So they're going to knock LGD's mid lane turret down to 1 single turret plating. That's not going to feel comfortable. The Sivir is already starting to have priority. She should be going back and getting her Essence Reaver at this point, so infinite mana, basically. I think LGD are going to have to find a big play or a big catch before their mid lane tower gets down. If they don't, Yuuki's just going to be stuck there.
He's already having trouble, you know. That is a ton of wave clear coming out from Mole and mostly unpunished. And Ben4 has been doing an amazing job this game so far of securing these scuttles. That's either his third or fourth so far. He got the first two coming up with the 315 spawn. He's gotten that one now as well. But LGD finally getting a little bit of breathing room as Kramer takes down one, maybe two turret platings up here in the top lane. There it goes.
Looks like it's going to be two. And this is a straight up trade from V5. They're actually sacking their top lane tower.
Yuuki is not having good luck with these chains this game. Misses that one, which means he has no kill pressure coming in. It's going to be another turret plating taken away. And between Aliez and Mole, that is so much damage put down onto the mid lane tower. They might be able to take this one next wave.
It does look like it's close to being a 2-for-1. Oh, great trade damage back from Aliez.
There it is, first tower taken down. This time it's going to be Victory 5 once again. This in the bottom lane, mid lane going to likely be the next target because it's so low, but LGD might be able to get the return trade in the top lane just before turret plating falls at this 14-minute mark.
Yep, and what happened right there is LGD actually didn't get anything out of Aliez's lane allocation. The 3-man from V5 had enough kill threat. So Aliez basically ended up taking a very long route around towards the mid laner. Didn't actually get to defend that. And you have to call it like it is. V5 with a much better rotation there. They get a lot more tower damage down.
This is a shame, Clement, because coming into this one we had really high expectations for LGD. Now, granted, things matter again, so they no longer have that buff from the Chinese meme, but this is, I would say, based on their last few series, uncharacteristically sloppy from them. Seems like they're giving up macro point after macro point when that should be your strength against a team of less experienced players, against a team of basically rookies coming up from the LDL.
Yeah, they just are getting read like a book right here, and the turret plating does suggest that as well. I think the main point is just how well Mole actually played the mid lane. He had that lane froze in front of his tower for the majority of the laning phase. Yuuki never found the chains or the kills on him, and now it's past 15 minutes.
Oh, the dive on the Y4. They're looking for some kind of good news, and they find it. Condi going to be the one to pick up that kill now, 2-0-0 on that Jarvan.
The cannonball is inevitable. If you pick this, you're going to find a kill somewhere. It's so easy to execute. Jarvan EQs in. Galio follows up. They didn't even need the ultimate.
There's the flash cocoon, the depth charge. They are throwing everything. They want revenge on Condi, and they're going to find it. The Weaver's Wall even to block him off further. Victory 5, pick up another kill, and in the mid lane, Aliez looking for the kill onto Aliez, not going to land the shock blast, so will have to dip out, but Mole is here to defend as well. Get a little bit of wave clear for himself, and Victory 5 just clearing out the jungle. Cocoon lands on RD, there's a lot of poke damage, but Kramer is here, calling blown. There goes Ben4, and in the mid lane, Pop Blossom's been blown as well, but Victory 5 need to get out of this. It's a 4 versus 3, and looks like they'll have the move speed to do so thanks to the acceleration gate.
V5, they just bite off a little bit more than they can chew. I don't really understand how Ben4 died right there. I was looking at the mid lane tower. They were about to take it down. Also had a threatening play onto the Neeko. But let's watch this again. So it was just a straight taunt into the burst damage, and Ben4 didn't walk out in time. Just falls down right there and does stop V5's push.
But V5, not quick to be deterred, will pick up the mid lane tower for themselves. And they've still got the momentum a little bit here, Clement. They've got both the dragons so far. This time, unfortunately, it's not going to be the double infernal for them, but it is the double cloud. 2 of something, at the very least. And they have the 1 tower advantage over LGD as well.
I do think that both teams have done a great job at negating the strong points on their map. Top lane should have went for V5, and the mid lane should have went for LGD, but neither of them have definitive leads at this point. So I think the rest of it is going to be about who can actually find those picks right now. Both teams have a lot of potential for those sudden plays. Tons of burst damage on Ben4. Kramer shouldn't be here.
Kramer, you need to be really careful right now because Ben4 and Mole are looking for your Cocoon's going to miss. How far can you dodge, though? You still have the heal, you still have the flash. You're going to blow both. But, Kramer, you will survive today.
Great worthwhile trade for V5. They're also holding down mid lane priority with the Essence Reaver completed right now. And I think what V5 want to do is just keep LGD in their lanes, and then you look for the jungle control. The priority has already been established into the mid lane. You can see the bot lane for LGD is forced to secure that wave, and that just gives so much time for this Sivir and this Nautilus to perform a tower dive.
Oh, here comes the Weaver's Wall, and now Aliez in a little bit of trouble. Condi coming in as well. He's looking for the return trade. EQ not going to land, and now the flag and drag not going to be enough as the CC goes down. Pop Blossom, he's looking for it. He's going to find it on the one. Ben 4 goes golden, saves himself, but Condi, the first one to go down, lies very close to it, but he goes golden, saves himself, but the auto ricochet there is going to be enough from Y4 to take him out.
Really lucky on that, on the Neeko. Does actually stop the hook coming in from Max just with her clone, so it does save a little bit of time on Condi, but in the end of the day, they still go down with the worst trade, a 2-for-1 right there. And that's just the power priority. The bot lane from LGD can't help the rotation. That was a play where I felt like LGD were the ones that needed to give up their tower a little bit, and then look for a play once their other members arrived. But because of how close this play was, they probably thought that they had a chance in this. Condi still goes in even when he sees on the hunt from Sivir being popped, and he just finds himself in a bunch of enemy territory. Lies does have to pay for that as well. Aliez with a huge point-blank shock blast to the face, and the boomerang does take him down.
Now after that trade, LGD not going to be feeling too happy, but Condi will take the consolation prize, which is that Scuttle Crab. Mountain Drake is the third dragon on the field. Not going to be contested just yet, but it is a possibility as Mole rotates down into the bottom side to try and match Yuuki, maybe looking for an assassination as well.
There's no way that a Taliyah should get an assassination onto LeBlanc. He is pushing her luck right there. Does have Elise behind her. Now, I do want to point out the itemization for Kramer. He's actually going to go for the IE. He knows that he wants a better scaling edge over the Sivir, and if you look at the targets on V5, a lot of them will die to crit. There's no need to go for the Black Cleaver when there aren't really tanks on the enemy team. I really like this itemization.
Essence Reaver from him going to give him a lot of extra mana as well, but Victory 5 will be able to pick up their third dragon of the game. Now they're sitting pretty on this lead. They only have 800 gold lead, sure, but you've additionally got the tower, you've got the dragons, and now Victory 5 are trying to catch out LGD. They suspect someone's here. They even have the hook onto it, but who's going to get the better shot of the engage? Yuuki dives into the backline. There goes Ben 4, and Max is in a lot of trouble as well. You are tanky on that Nautilus, but not that tanky, my friend. 2 kills for LGD, and it looks like they're starting to turn the game back in their favor.
Okay, so a bit of a fun hook from Max coming in right there. They're walking in as a 3-man. LGD was already showing towards the mid lane push. I don't think that was particularly necessary. Like, oh, here we go again.
Condi with the kata, and there's the cannonball to follow. Yuuki gets taken down in the middle of it all. Aliez still alive somehow. RD not as lucky as the triple kill is picked up for the top laner of Victory 5. He is having one hell of an intro game into the LPL. There it is! Unofficial Quadra. Let's go, Aliez. This is a great first series for him. 4-1-1 on this Jayce.
And they're going straight for Baron after that. Oh, that was such a fun sequence of plays. LGD almost bit off a little bit more than they could chew, but Aliez had such great reactions, knocking the Galio back into the tower so he could finish him off. He had 300 HP by the end of that, but was able to walk away with 4 kills. Such good mechanics.
And there goes Aliez, so that's the only potential they had to try and stop this Baron. A lot of damage coming out from it, but Victory 5 should be able to survive. And at this point, Clement, I'm feeling like LGD just shouldn't make plays around the time the Baron's coming up, because this is 2 games in a row where they fail a play somewhere near the mid lane or the bottom lane, and it's rotated into a Baron. Let's check this out again. All
right, so the first play here, this is a 3v5 started by V5. They probably didn't know that there were that many members here. Gives Yuuki's his first kill of the game. They do drop 2 members instantly, so it looks good for LGD. You're thinking this is a 5v3 situation. They do take a lot of damage on the retreat, but they still have the numbers. I just want to see how Aliez is able to outplay all of that damage and actually find the kills right here. Condi does have him in the Cataclysm. Galio comes down as well, but he is able to actually dodge out on the knock-up range, so doesn't take the crowd control, is able to keep on dishing more damage. That was a very smart Q straight into the enemy composition to avoid the crowd control.
Then this final one, boom! There he goes. Aliez 4-1-2, all off of that team fight. He's now
That was ballsy. I don't think many top laners would go straight for the Lucian in that situation. He went to the skies into Kramer to avoid the crowd control and then finish off the targets.
Yeah, just played absolutely brilliantly there in that team fight by him. And now this Jayce is going to have almost 3 lethality items. He's got the Ghost Blade, he's got the Dust Blade, he's got the Serrated Dirk, so he's going to do a whole lot of damage to Kramer, who's still struggling. He has landed on his 2 items, but so has Y4. Y4 now has the Essence Reaver and the Infinity Edge, which I feel like is a stronger power spike.
Yeah, it definitely is, and LGD, they themselves don't have a lot of tanky targets to soak up this damage. And small mistake, Kramer did go for the Essence Reaver, didn't go for the IE. Sorry. It's been a while. I've never been a huge fan of Lucian, to be honest. But that itemization is going to give him at least enough wave clear to meet with the Sivir. Now, I think this is still a very close and winnable fight. Neeko is great against sieges, and they do have enough burst potential to just take down these targets like Y4 and Mole.
Victory 5, though, they still have the Baron buff for 1 minute and 25 seconds, so they still have the opportunity to make some plays, but it looks like instead they're going to back out, going to get some resets, going to get some items there, because look at Mole. He's got 2 items. He's got the Banshee's Veil, he's got the Hextech GLP 800, he's got 6 stacks on the Dark Seal. He's getting paid for that investment, still hasn't died on this pick either, and I feel like the LeBlanc for Yuuki really hasn't been delivering what we've been expecting for it. He's got the Ludens and the Banshees and the Sork Boots, but he doesn't have the kills we want to see.
Oh, but he might find them now. It's a 2v3 in the bot lane. Ben4 doesn't face check, stays with the wave. That's a good spider.
All right.
Oh, but they expect the flank. That's a big question now. This is a team that's very easy, very prone to getting flanked.
This is so much patience from LGD. Oh, but LGD, they might be on the wrong side of this, Clement.
Hardy evades the crowd control. They find Y4.
They're going on to him. They pick him off. It's a beautiful start to the fight, but can they keep it going? Kramer gets the depth charge into the face, and Max is putting out as much CC as he possibly can. The Pop Blossom! So much damage in the AoE, and LGD are wiping the fight. They take down 3 and lose no one. LGD back in it just like that.
That was such a smart wraparound from LGD. They have 2 members there. They walk straight into Y4, but wait a minute, V5 knows this trick as well.
RD, that's the second time you've gotten picked off like that this game, man. Be careful. Ben4 and Mole, they're looking to contest this. Ben4 still does not have the smite available. Weaver's Wall will keep Yuuki out of it for the time being. Oh, Ben4 gets picked off. Mole will be able to find the kill on the back end of it, but won't be able to get the dragon in return. So it looks like LGD finally get their first Drake of the game without Mountain Drake.
Was a bit of a sloppy trade at the end right there, a 2-for-1, but still in favor for LGD. I think Aliez did a great job in all of those fights right there, knocking down the corner around the blue buff and then finding that extra kill onto Elise. Y4 reacts a little bit too late. Doesn't have anywhere to go, doesn't have his flash either, instantly goes down, and watch Aliez as he tries to come in and make that quadra kill happen again. He walks straight into crowd control. Pop Blossom and the taunt coming in from Galio makes short work of the Jayce, and this is what I was talking about. V5, they have a very fragile composition. If they brush check, and for the same goes for RD as well, but if they brush check, these type of plays will happen a lot, and it's very clever on our LGD side to do these bush ganks over and over again. Now, just watching live right here, finds another route onto the Elise. They trade the kills back and forth. Kill does come out a little bit too slow, but LGD do secure the objectives and the kills.
Yeah, and they eliminated the jungler, so no chance for a contest on the dragon. And now, state's been reset a little bit. Victory 5, up 3K gold, so they still have a chance to take it. They still have the lead, but LGD are starting to crawl back into it. We've got the 3 items on the Kramer. This is where the scaling is going to show a little bit of a difference, but Kramer got to 3 items. I mean, with the early game LGD had, the early mid they were looking to have, I'm honestly just proud of them for getting to this point. I'm just like, yeah, 3 items, nice.
And if you look at the gold graphs right here, the majority of the gold lead is focused on Aliez alone. I think the problem with V5 right now is that they can't siege. If they siege, Condi is itemized perfectly to just use the Cataclysm on them. There's no way that they're going to avoid all the crowd control coming in from Pop Blossom and the taunt coming in from Galio. Both of these are AoE, it's going to make V5's life very difficult. And I actually like what they're doing right now. They're not saying we're going to do a straight siege. They're using their split pushing potential from Mole to at least make sure that LGD have to deal with other points in the map. Good poke being put down right here, but I still don't think they can do a full 5-man siege.
Maybe not siege, but they do have ridiculous wave clear. Condi goes in. There's the Cataclysm. Cannonball surfs up. He's going in. Pop Blossom going to land only onto one. It gets Kramer the kill, though. He's still in the fight, and at this point, 3 members down for victory 5. There's no way they're going to be able to take this one as LGD walk away 3-0.
Oh, what did I say? Your comp just can't siege at this point. There's too much engage on LGD. There's no way you disengage from this. And they had to work the 1-3-1 a little bit more. I think it was a much better choice to have one of the 1-3-1s just be caught out. And right now, they might not even escape Yuuki.
Smashed with a lot of damage, but now Mole is under threat. Finally gets taken down. Support not going to be able to do anything about that. And now the Baron being picked up by LGD. It looks like they may have turned this game in their favor.
I do think so. It's so hard for V5 to execute at this point. Condi, great itemization. Didn't go for the Black Cleaver, straight tank. He's going to be able to face Jayce, eat all the shock blasts, and still perform his duties in initiating on the enemy team. Now let's watch V5 walk up here. They have one ward in the mid lane, but that's really not enough. 4-man Cataclysm into the 4-man Wombo combo. Pop Blossom wasn't really even needed in that point. They got the entire back line. Mole does show up in time, but it's not enough. They get decimated.
Yuuki looking for the pick. He lands the chain this time, but Aliez just walks away. Now 4-1-5 on that. LeBlanc doing pretty well for himself, and they have the Baron buff for 2 minutes and 40 seconds. The question is what they can get done with it, because Victory 5 have quite the scaling composition of their own, but more importantly, look at all that wave clear from Sivir.
Yeah, Sivir needs time to dish out her damage, and what LGD are doing right now is that they're focusing down Y4. As long as Y4 is dead, I don't actually think V5 has enough to clean up the rest of the composition. So that's going to be the key right here. If the cannonball between Jarvan and Galio lands on Sivir, I think LGD 100% wins the fight. If not, then maybe Y4 can make up a miracle. He has a lot of crit percentage right now, 75%. If he can get those clanking down onto the back line, he has a shot.
We're going to look to see it. But now LGD playing around the mid lane. Wow. Condi saw that one coming. Read it like a book there from Max. And now split push seems to be successful there for Yuuki in the bottom lane, finally taking down the outer tower down there. But we have another split push being successful here. The top side, Aliez, he needs to get out of there. That's a Glacial Augment Neeko. If that ghost lands, you are dead.
Glacial Augment is just so busted right now. We have a lot of mid laners going for it. Let's watch this chain as it does land, force out the flash.
4 flashes, the Cataclysm. Here comes the cannonball onto Mole. He's down, but in return, so is Yuuki, mid laner for mid laner. Victory 5 going to be happy with that one for now.
And that was the burst damage coming out from Y4. He landed the boomerang double proc into one auto attack, and goodbye Yuuki. That's the potential of a late game Sivir.
Now needs to go for the boomerang blade steal again. Not going to find it this time. Not quite the right timing, but double taunt. Kramer now taking a ton of damage and the depth charge. It'll give Y4 time to put down the damage, forcing away the bottom lane of LGD. Victory 5 winning away this fight. They're starting to go for the re-kills, but Max misses the hook and gets killed for it. Never mind.
He landed the hook and got killed for it. It was the opposite. That was a really smart move by Kramer, actually. He walked back into that, knowing that he could finish off the Nautilus. Oh, that was a sweet move right there, and honestly, Max actually had a very good start of the fight. He outplayed the heck out of RD. RD should not have walked forward. He couldn't take the damage. Redemption also saved that portion of it. So let's just watch the first part. I think the key thing here is how fast Yuuki's actually getting taken down in these fights. Y4 really doesn't need to put that much damage onto him. So he did take a seismic shove. I'm sorry, I thought it was only from Sivir, but he did get hit by the Taliyah as well. So once they trade the mid laners, this fight, I believe the Infernal Drake does go over to LGD, but afterwards, I'm not sure they should have chased right here. You see, Condi does get it. RD gets knocked down, and he also uses his taunt as well. So Y4 is just free-firing at this point. Retention gets him healthy again, and let's watch this turnaround play from Kramer. Okay, oh, never mind. He actually didn't hit Kramer.
He hit the wall.
I'm sorry.
And then slammed his face into the wall so hard that he ended up dying.
Kramer moved back just for him to like land on him.
I would have liked that.
That was like a 200 IQ play.
He didn't have the QSS just yet.
Yep. It wasn't a prediction, but it was a good capitalization.
Much like Microsoft Word's autocorrect, good capitalization is key. Now, Victory 5 going to start clearing out the waves. There is no more Baron threat from LGD, but the Baron's going to be spawning soon, hopefully. Elder Dragon is the next one under contention. You can see LGD pinging away at the Baron. They know they need to get vision on that sooner rather than later. So Kramer starts farming up. Now, since he has gone for the crit build, he's going to scale a little bit better. The only item from the regular Lucian build we see is the Blade of the Ruin King, but he's gone heavily into the crit. You know, the rapid fire cannon. He's got the Infinity Edge as well. He's also got the Essence Reaver. So he is putting out a decent amount of damage.
I really like the extra range on the rapid fire as well. It's going to make him much easier to deal with against the likes of the Jayce and also the Sivir. You just outrange them and can poke them down a little bit more. So great item choices from him here. I think for V5, the way they need to play it is they need to poke with Jayce. I think if any of their members shows on the map and they get close enough to auto-attack, the cannonball's incoming. You know Condi's going to fly down from the sky. He's going to get his dunk down. So a lot of it really revolves around Aliez here. And he needs to stay around the top side. So Mole is going to be the one doing the split pushing, trying to at least pressure LGD off of the Baron.
Speaking of Aliez, I like the itemization he went for. It's kind of cute. Instead of finishing off the Serrated Dirk into something like the Edge of Night, he just left it and then went for the Maw instead. So he just has the lethality from it. Not sure if I like it, but it's cute.
Well, it's going to give him more survivability against magic damage, but I still would have preferred the Edge of Night just for the incoming potential of the engage. I think what he's thinking here is, well, if I ever get locked in the Cataclysm, they have enough follow-up CC anyway, so it's not going to be worthwhile.
Weaver's Wall going to catch off LGD here on the wrong side of the fight, and that's a lot of damage on Aliez. Not a death just yet, but he's going to have to flash out of there immediately, which means no Flash Pop Blossom will be able to be returned here. And Victory 5 starts chunking away at the Baron of their own. They're not going to finish it, though.
Very interesting situation. I actually feel like V5 could push even harder into the... Oh, not 1v2, though.
Wow, good timing on the repel, but looks like still going to be a death here for Ben 4, and that means Jungler's down.
That's the second time Yuuki and company has found someone in the brush.
Uh-oh. Victory 5, can they find it? They do. They stop the back of RD, and RD has just been gotten picked off 100 times this game. Well, not 100. I think it's about 3. But he will survive this time. The slow coming in from the teleported Lies. And Yuuki trying to pop some damage onto Mole. Not going to be able to find it, though. They will stall away the Baron take for now. But 20 seconds remain until Ben 4 is back up.
A great find on both teams right here, but like you were talking about, Ben 4 not here really swings the direction into LGD's side. Looking at the ultimates, how they still have the cannonball in place.
Oh, Kramer did secure the Baron, so LGD is going to have it for this fight, and that is so much damage going down. LGD, they've found the golden fight. They get the ace. Kramer with a triple kill, and they're just going to shove it down the mid lane. How far can they get?
Just too much AoE damage on that turnaround, and successful Cataclysm once more. There's no jungle to commit to the snipe there. Unfortunately for Y4, he actually used the he did use a Zhonya's right there, and he missed out on a lot of damage during those seconds. I actually find that quite questionable because he could have at least taken away some of the Baron buffs.
Not going to find it though, and it looks like LGD aren't going to push down just yet. 2 minutes and 45 seconds on the Baron buff remain, however. So the Elder Drake is the next one in their sights, being pinged away right now.
LGD do have the ultimate advantage right here. Let's watch how the carries... Oh, that was such a beautiful find by Aliez. He actually gets both carries right there and forces the perfect timing away from Sivir. So she wasn't doing damage during all of that, and it was just easy pickings. Aliez has been tremendous this game.
It has, however, been a bit of a slugfest. I'd like to see LGD clean it up a little bit more, but it looks like they may be able to secure away game 2. I know it's premature, but they've got the Baron, they've got the Elder for another 2 minutes. Should be enough for them to close it out.
Tangle Barbs for the win right there. LGD finding another pick. This time, double Elder objectives on the map. Don't really see how V5 get away from this. They still have the burst potential. That's what has kept them in the game so far. Can Mole find a crucial target?
They get caught though. There's the cocoon. Lands onto Condi. Condi is so low, but the stone plate has stopped him from dying for so long that can't get a trade kill just yet. But Yuuki, here he comes. He gets caught up. Mole not alive. Rise! He lands the Pop Blossom. He might be able to survive this. Kramer is popping off. He picks up all of the kills. The ace comes out, and sure, they lose 2 members, but LGD are looking to close out game number 2 versus Victory 5.
Was very close for a second. I love what V5 did there. You can't take things standing down. You have to fight outside the base, but Kramer is just too big. Look at how many items he has. This is a crit build Lucian, and he will cut through those champions like a hot knife through butter.
And LGD tie it back up, the 1-1 at this point. That was a long game, Clement, but it was one that LGD finally won.
So I think what we're seeing right now is Mole is able to counteract the offensive nature of Yuuki in these fights. He hasn't been giving up any kills. Yuuki hasn't snowballed in any of those games. But when it comes down to the late game, to the team fighting, you still see Condi playing such a crucial role in this. Again and again, he's engaging straight into the siege composition of V5. And I felt like V5, they couldn't group and push like that. If they wanted to do it, they needed to have a lot more wards on their flanks, on their sides, just to make sure Condi couldn't find those flanks. And LGD, they just show their experience this time. It really was the understanding of how to play against this composition that brought them back.
It was looking like the mid game was in the favor of Victory 5, and I was thinking they were really just going to run it down. But at this point, LGD were able to bring it back, and it is a lot on that experience, and it's a lot on capitalizing on small mistakes there from the side of Victory 5, because once you start making mistakes against a composition like LGD's, where you have the pick potential, where you have the cannonball composition, that combo from Condi and RD saved that game so many times for LGD.
Yeah, I remember the mid-game fight where it was the 4-man knock-up onto V5 advancing right there. That was pretty much the nail in the coffin. 5k advantage instantly wiped out just like that. So V5, I think they've shown tremendous individual strength. I'm surprised at how well Aliez has played in some of these fights. I want to see more of it, honestly. But as a team, as a young team coming from the LDL, I still think that they don't have the best understanding of their win conditions. There's no way you siege against that comp. You need to split the map out, try to find those skirmishes in the jungle. That's the better way to do it. But they gave LGD the perfect opportunities to come back in the game.
Well, hopefully they can clean that up a little bit going into game number 3, because both they and LGD are looking to get the first win here, day number 2, and they're both fighting for it 1-1. We'll see who takes it in match point in a few minutes.